Welcome to Indy Unplugged, the podcast that's your front row seat to the real talk of Indianola. I'm Aaron Young, your friendly neighborhood host, and we're diving deep into unfiltered stories, candid chats, and the nitty-gritty of our vibrant city. Think of this as a crash course in all things Indianola. No fancy jargon, just real conversations. So, get comfy, hit that play button, and let's explore the heart and soul of our community together on Indy Unplugged. All right, welcome back to another episode of Indy Unplugged, a City of Indianola podcast. And you probably hear me say this every single episode. We're now on episode 5, but I'm telling you right now, this right here, put me on the record, this is going to be my favorite episode recorded. You're going to find out why here shortly. No pressure at all. But today's episode, we are going to have a great conversation with a bunch of awesome employees with the Indianola Public Library. A lot of them don't need introductions, but we're going to go through introductions. Michele, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, your role.
I'm Michele Patrick. I've been at the Indianola Public Library since 2010. I've been the director since 2016.
What do you love the most about being the director of the Indianola Public Library?
You know,
us.
That's true. The people. I mean, really, it is. It is. We have so much fun there. We have so much going on. And what I love about the library is it's always busy. It's always loud. It is. People love coming to the library. It's a great place to work, and I love the people I work with most of the time.
Yeah, we'll dig into that further because there's a lot of great things we'll get into. But Jacy, how about you?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jacy West. I'm the Adult Services Librarian over at the Indianola Public Library. And people kind of give me funny looks sometimes when I say Adult Services Librarian. But it really is like what it says. All of the services that help out the 18 and up demographic of our community are something that I usually try to have a hand in. So we do book deliveries to people. We do adult programs, of course, all kinds of stuff.
Janis?
I'm Janis Comer. I'm the Children's and Family Services Librarian.
So fancy.
I know, I really am quite something. So, yeah, I do all things children's. I started I guess my first year was 2016. I started in 2016. I actually beat her as far as my current role. She was there before me. So, anyway, yeah, children's stuff, story times, family events, outreaches, all the stuff that has to do with kids and families.
Hey.
What's up?
I'm Alison Brown, and my title is Teen Services and Marketing Librarian, which I have a lot of clout with other librarians across the state because they're like, "You're a what? You're a marketing librarian?" We're lucky here.
You're one of a kind.
Kind of. Yeah. Kind of. Probably, actually. Teen Services and Marketing. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I am without the title anyway. So, yeah, I do, the teen programs and the budgeting for that and all of the teen books. And then I do all of the library's social media, all of our in-house marketing, all of our outside of the house marketing. Around the house. Yeah, so I have the fun job. I think.
I have a fun job.
I have the fun job.
Sorry to say, but I think I have the fun one because I get to buy the really fun collections, like the Library of Things, the video games, the board games.
Picture books are where it's at.
I guess.
See, you're right. You do have a bunch of great people working at the library who all say they have the fun job, the best job, period. When Alison, I told her that, hey, I want you guys to come on to the next podcast episode, she says, well, is it just going to be me or can I have a group of people? And I'm like, well, the more the merrier. And as our listeners can tell, there are a lot of voices on this podcast. So it's going to be very engaging, very entertaining, just like
Aaron's regretting everything.
all the different experiences that you will have as you step foot into the library. And so talk about just how record-breaking in all facets the library experienced in 2023, Michele. What were just some of the highlights that the library celebrated and experienced that you'd like to share as we are midway through 2024 and what is currently taking place at the library today?
We literally broke every record in the library's history last year. The end of our year is going to be June 30th, and it looks like we're going to break all of those again this year. Busiest year ever. The library is 140 years old, one of the oldest in the state, and it was the best year by far last year, and we're in the new best this year.
Yeah, and just with programming alone, knowing recently you had the annual summer bash, I mean, just hundreds, if not maybe almost to 1,000. Were there 1,000 community members there?
We're pretty sure, yeah.
I mean, phenomenal. And food trucks, you have different community partners there. Just talk about the success of that event, because was it in its third or fourth year? Has this been an ongoing event for the library?
Did we
It was
start
pre-COVID.
2017 or... It was the first summer. My first summer, right?
Yeah.
I think it was 2017 was when we first started it, because infamous meeting we had. Okay, guys, what are we going to do for the summer kickoff? And I was like, hey, have you guys heard of food trucks? And Michelle's look, infamous, like, what? Excuse me? I'm like, no, it's going to be great. We're going to have a band. We're going to have food trucks. It's going to be just like a big block party. And she was not convinced. But
We won her over.
Eventually I got you on my side. You also had the look.
I did, because I was scared of food trucks.
Yeah,
I was
well, that was
so
before.
wrong. Food trucks are awesome.
Well, just with the evolution of that event from 2017, what was it like back then to what it was like just a few weeks ago?
So at the beginning, we actually partnered with Parks and Rec, and they were super awesome and like promoted everything just like we did. They brought over a lot of their lawn games. They hung out. It was great. It was like like we marketed it as, like a joint department summer kickoff thing, because, they're quite busy right now too. And there's obviously quite a bit more people. How many people do we think we had the first year?
I think we estimated like 400 to 500.
We were so excited about that.
Yeah, we were.
So practically doubled now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a little less work on our part. I mean, it's still a lot of work. We still load every single chair and every single table and everything, all the things.
But it's all worth it, right?
Absolutely.
Seeing the smiling faces on the kiddos and their parents, guardians.
It's the best part. And I get to go around and just take pictures of all those things the whole time. So it's precious.
Yeah. And just the support from other, volunteers with Friends of the Library and your board of trustees. I mean, it really is a community in its sense, just through and through.
We're nodding.
Yeah.
Nodding.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You can't hear us nodding.
Yeah.
That's really
Rattling
helpful in
isn't
a
working.
podcast.
I know, right?
You're at a loss for words. It's because you're in
We're
agreement.
super excited. No, we're we're midway, kind of.
Well,
I mean, for certain
program-wise,
things, program-ish wise, as far as like momentum. So we're tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's been a big June.
Yeah.
I counted 107 programs in June and July.
Wow.
That's a lot.
So how do you keep up? I mean, how do you take care of your people?
We gear up, and then it is busy for 2 months, and then it's not that way all year long, but
So how do you come up with the different topics for your programming, or what you were going to offer? What goes into that with the research and just other aspects of that approach?
I might have some insight, being that I am the newest programming staff here. It is a bit of trial and error. It's also a big part of it is looking to other libraries and seeing what they're doing that's successful, that is aligning with our mission, at the library, and just also what our patrons are saying. So if they're coming to a certain kind of program, we try to do a bit more of that. So if they're liking a more mystery type of event, then we'll try to do similar ones to that, where they're getting their brains active, they're doing puzzles, whether literally or as part of an escape room. So something like that. And local community experts are like, hey, I want to talk at the library, and we invite them. So it's a lot of it really depends, and each age group is different as well because they all have different priorities and different things. Like I can do some more some different types of events than Janis can, because if she has like 100 kids in the door, she can only do certain things, whereas if I have a little less than that with adults, we can do some more, hands-on things. So
Jacy doesn't do the shaker eggs with the adults
I
yet.
wish. I wish they would let me.
You gotta try it.
And bring them in.
You never
They're
know.
sitting right there.
Middle of bingo, we just
Hey, trial and error. Trial and error.
trial and error.
30-second dance break.
I have that button.
I think they might walk out if I try that, but
You could use
Try
the
that during
gong, you could
bingo.
use the button.
Do it.
Yeah, because some of your people have come to my family bingo,
Mm-hmm.
and they're generally surprised by what I make them do versus what she has them do. Because
Bit of a-
we do kind of a head and shoulders, knees and toes thing during bingo, and we get up and move around while we're playing bingo at my family bingos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more active.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, how unique is it as you experience kind of these different age groups and going from, kiddos to those adults, and they're experiencing all different programming? It really is, I don't mean to be cliche, but the only way I can think of it is probably like that circle of life as you're meeting them, their need here, meeting their need there, and so on and so forth. I mean, how unique is that, or is that pretty much the standard for a library?
Well, I would think it's pretty standard for a library. I mean, the whole goal is to engage the entire community, and the different age groups have different needs. Even, young families versus the families with middle and high schoolers versus, older people who are empty nesters. And I include myself in that older person thing. So yeah, there's just this whole, you really have to engage the entire community, and that's really the purpose of a library.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and a lot of that is due to our staff, just because we have a lot of people who will step up and kind of learn those different groups. Because even among Janis's kids, there's the older kids, there's the younger kids, there's the preschool kids, and even teens. I mean, it's a small bracket, but there's still, there's a difference between 6th graders and 12th graders. And then the adults, extend, like I said, 18 and up. So we have some of our senior community. We have people who just finished their monthly subscription boxes that we do with Alison, and then she sends me their previously picked things to transfer them into adulthood, essentially, which they're obviously a lot different than, a mom who's a bit older. So it's huge.
We kind of, maybe not on purpose, maybe kind of on accident, like the reading program is kind of like that. They start off a certain way, and then the older they get, we sort of add in the next kind as an option and the next age level as an option, which is pretty cool.
yeah,
I think
and then
not
we
a lot of
connect
libraries
our
do that.
adults too, so that again with those young families we can have the parents engaged in the same thing with their kids. So the reading challenge will be for kids, read every day. Well, a 3-year-old isn't reading by themselves, so the mom or the dad or whoever their caregiver is reading to them. They get to count that too. So we try to accommodate all of those different ages and move them forward, but then also circle back a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a pipeline of intentional connections as
Yeah,
they continue
exactly.
to grow.
Yeah,
Love that.
Took the words out of your mouth.
Yes, I was just about.
Pipeline of intentional connections.
But JC, you talked about the mission of the Indianola Public Library. What is that mission?
I will field this question as the youngest here and the newest
Yes.
here.
The rest of us
Anyone can
actually
answer if they know.
came up
Yeah.
with
Well,
it.
I
JC
think-
wasn't even here. The rest of us
Well, that's
wrote
what I
it.
was going to say, is that we are actually in that phase where we are looking at that again. So we're doing a strategic plan here soon and really digging into what that is. So right now we don't necessarily have our answer for the next 5 or so years or however long we span that strategic plan, but I'm sure it'll reflect a lot of this community outreach that we do, the partnerships, as well as the services. We talk about programming, but our services and our book circulation as well are very important to us. So just really a well-rounded mission that encompasses all of it. So
And we didn't have any of that, like all the fun extra stuff, all the important extra stuff that we did when we first did our strategic plan. So it'll be this fall. I think we're gonna do, right, Michelle? This fall.
We are. And just in general, though, if you really break it down to the bare minimums, the mission of our library is to connect people to each other, to the community, and to resources. And that's what we do. I mean, we really are the hub of the community, and we facilitate that connection.
Yeah. And so with the importance of a strategic plan, I mean, how vital is that for the library for the short and long term as you dig into that further and identify more of those key areas to continue to grow?
It's really important, and the process we're going to be going through is very important because it is going to direct us. It's something that we can use to guide us. It will really help us articulate better what our values are and where we're going, and it will, the one we have right now also helps us determine programming, determine priorities, and the community has changed quite a bit from 5 years ago, to be quite honest with you. And while our last strategic plan, we focused very much on helping people understand what the library could offer, what we have for the community, and I think that we've accomplished that. And so now our goal is to look to the future and what is it that the community wants from us, and how can we fill the needs and gaps of our community.
With some of those comments you may have received already from community members, is there anything that you can share that they've told you that they expect or would hope the library could provide them and their family?
We hear in a lot of different ways that what they really, really want from the library is a place. I mean, they love the books, love them. They love the programs, but a place where they can go with their kids, they can play, it doesn't cost anything. A place they can go and have meetings where they can study, they can work, they can connect to other people. So really we hear a lot of really the building as a center for the community to gather.
And there's not many places like that here in Indianola, truth be told.
Right. And there's not very many, and there's not very many that are free.
Correct.
So we have birthday parties, receptions, things like that. There's not a lot of options for those if you don't want to pay. So there's certainly a need.
Yeah. And you're identifying those needs and meeting the community where they are, whether it be programming, whether it be with books and activities, whether it be, other opportunities that you identify. You're always putting your best foot forward for the sake of this community as it continues to evolve. And like you said, 5 years ago, entirely different. What makes this community different from what it was 5 years ago, though, Michele?
What we see at the library, we see a lot more families, and I don't know the demographics of what we're seeing is this growth in Indianola of young families, but certainly the way people use the library is very different than they did 5 years ago. You see people come to the library and spend a long time there, whether that's with their kids, they're spending 2 hours on a Saturday morning playing, or whether someone is working from home and they're using the library all day long. That's really the big change. 5 years ago, I would say people would come into the library, get what they need, and leave. And now to see people, it's a destination that they're going to. It's not an errand. It is, we're going to the library and we're going to have fun.
And how many community members does the library currently serve today? I mean, obviously the general public, but how many card holders and those who you're able to?
Good question.
We have about 8,000 card holders. That would be Indianola residents, Warren County residents, and then others who use the library. So I don't know, in front of me I don't have exactly how many residents, but about 8,000. Last year, though, we do know we have a lot of people that use the library who don't actually have cards. Mm-hmm. Our door count last year was 80,001. So lots of people using the library who may or may not have a card. Or you have often families, they'll have one card and all the kids check out on one. So we don't actually know specifically how many individuals use the library.
But that number year over year continues to increase?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we've gotten to say that for like year after year.
Mm-hmm.
Since I started working here, I wonder if there's a correlation. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, it's a great stat. It should be a stat that you're serving more and more. But is it daunting? Is it kind of give you a little bit of anxiety because maybe it could be more pressure, just more individuals that you want to serve and make them proud?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
You want to talk?
Well, no, go ahead. I mean, it really is. It's daunting because you don't want to disappoint the people that you've brought in, and you also don't want to stop increasing your reach. And so, yeah, it's daunting to say, okay, this was really great. Now, how do we keep going? How do we keep building on that? And I don't know. We just wing it. That's not true.
And it becomes a problem. And it's a good problem to have. A good example is Storytime. We want more people to come to Storytime, but our problem is then our Storytime got too big. And then it became too rambunctious for families. So we had families that were leaving because you have 50 people in a room. And so now we have 2 story times, and we do the best that we can. It's a good problem to have, but it is always a balancing act. Same way if you're in the library, if you've come to work or you have a meeting and then you have 30 teens running around being loud, it's balancing all of that out and meeting everybody the best that you can.
Yeah, and probably the way that the library has recently navigated through that would have been the establishment of new operating hours that launched earlier this month. So if you want to talk a bit more about those new hours and how that decision came to be and the benefits so far as we're midway through the month.
It was specifically to solve the problem of Storytime.
It was my fault. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Well, we've been wanting to.
We have been.
I mean, we've been wanting to expand our hours, and it was just a really good excuse. I mean, yeah, it needed to happen, so we had to do it.
We kept waiting to get more staff, to get more resources, and there comes a point where you just have to do it, and because there were too many kids, and
It was
so we just
raucous.
did it.
It was too raucous for some people.
It was.
Yeah.
So what are those new hours now?
Oh, well, guess we should.
Yeah, I guess we could.
We open an hour earlier, Monday through Saturday. So now we're open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 8, Friday and Saturday, 9 to 5, and then Sunday hours are 1 to 5. And we added those in a couple years ago.
Added them back.
A couple years. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were closed Sundays for a good chunk of time, but so we're creeping back up to where we were and where we should be. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and within those changes, with Storytime specifically, it's 2 sets of Storytime now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then
we also have Saturday.
On Saturdays,
Yeah,
yep.
Just one on Saturday.
yep.
Yeah, unless I'm supposed to be at the pool, which we got rained at.
And I was
Very
bummed to
sad.
see that. Yeah,
It happens.
yeah.
We refer to it as bikini story time.
We do not refer to it as that. They might, but we don't.
We used to refer to it as bikini story time.
Yeah, there are no bikinis on this side of the mic. On that side, they can wear all the bikinis they want.
Yes.
So how many kiddos can attend a Storytime, a given session?
I average, this summer we've been average right around probably 30 kids and 20 adults. So it's about 50 people in a room, in the room for Storytime. Some of them are a little smaller, some of them are a little bigger, and that actually works really well for some parents because normally they would come to the 9:30 one. Oops, we overslept. Hey, we've got another opportunity. So it varies, but we're usually averaging right around 40 to 50 per story time, which is still pretty big. I mean, that's an awfully big story time. Story time is kind of more designed to be a little more intimate than that. But I mean, I love it. So, and they're great. But just it could still be a lot for somebody that has maybe some sensory issues or is just sensitive to that much activity and noise.
Yeah.
So we're not quiet at all.
What's the process for you like though, Janis, when you're selecting that story or stories to read, and what does that collection look like? Do you wing it?
I do actually, yes.
No, she does not.
Okay, I kind of wing it.
But that's her method.
There is a method to this madness. I firmly believe that if I like the story, they'll like the story. If I don't like a story, if I think it's boring, that's going to translate pretty clearly to a 2 and 3 and 4 year old. They're going to pick up on that pretty quickly. So I like to read books that I like to read. I like to read books that I can engage them in the story. A lot of times I have them help me tell the story, hey, what's going on? Let's count what colors are going on? What do you think is going to happen? That kind of thing. And I can go on and on and on. She's like, and feel her looking at me like, bring it down, Janis. Because I can go on and on and on about picture books and story time. But really, it's just a matter of picking books that I think I can read effectively and that they can participate in.
What does that balance look like? Like, how do you then determine like how animated or just to, resemble the story?
There's no restraint. I mean, you should come sometime.
I mean,
Like,
I was there for Dino
Dino
Fest when you
Fest.
read. Yeah.
Yeah. So you saw it.
I took the photos.
In all her
I took
glory.
some photos. Yeah.
Well, glory. But no, it's just you just have to read like you're enjoying the book.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's all the pedagogy and all of that business that you can come up with, but I like to read what I like to read, and I think that it translates well to them, and I like them to be able to answer questions that I'm asking. A lot of times, especially for like my outreaches, when I visit the preschools, I try to have what I call a standy up book, because I don't have music at the shush.
It's an academic term.
It is, yes. It's a very official term. I don't have the music like I have at my regular story times, and so for preschoolers, sitting through 3 books can be a lot, all in one length of time. So we'll read a book, and then we'll do one that has actions, and we act out the story in some way. And it's not necessarily, the book says, "Hey, do this." It's, we're being an elephant. There's an elephant on the page. Okay, now we're going to be an elephant. And so just get them engaged in the story itself, in the book, and the process of reading.
So when you do participate and you lead story time
Yes.
at non-library locations, how do you foster those relationships with those community partners or with other departments that are within the city? Because I've heard you are very popular. I've seen that you're very popular and you're very much in high demand.
High demand.
Oh,
This woman cannot go to Hy-Vee without Miss Janis.
Alison
She
said
gets
that,
like 5+ hugs
Yeah.
every time she goes
Yep.
to a store.
it is true. Yeah. I don't have to do my grocery shopping though very much anymore. Like, it slows us down too much. So somebody else goes.
I got to sign too many autographs.
Seriously, we just gotta. I'm sorry, you'll have to go find the bread yourself. Yeah. No. I for the preschools, we've long done that. I mean, well before I started, we've visited the preschools in town, which is really great because it gives me an opportunity to share with people who can't necessarily get to the library. I mean, some of those families are not library goers, but I'm visiting them, I'm going where they are, and then they can go home and say, "Oh, hey, the library lady came. Maybe we can go." Because I always end with, "Come and see me at the library." So like every single time, "Oh yeah, we'll tell Mom, we'll tell Grandma." So we try to get them there. And then of course, I'll email to the chiefs and say, "Hey, by the way, how about if I come visit you at your house?" And,
Hey, Chia.
yeah. Chief Chia, would you mind?
What if?
How about? Yes. And then I just wait for him to call me back and laugh at me.
Does he plan on doing another story time before he retires?
We're doing one in October. That's the plan.
He may not know about it.
Yeah. Well,
Until
It's on the
now, maybe
schedule.
if he
I
listens.
make the plans around him now so that he can't shut. No, he doesn't shut me down. He's been great.
After this
all
comes
of them
out,
really
you're
have
gonna
been.
get a phone call.
I know. Seriously, he's probably dialing right now. He doesn't know why, but
But even with like the city departments, so with the fire department, that collaboration to be able to come together and do something effective, fun, simple as story time. I mean, how cool is that, just to come together and to be part of the same mission, the same vision, the same beat of the drum? I mean, that's pretty special.
it is. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's great to have. It's great to have departments that are happy to have us help us out. With the trunk or treat, especially comes to mind. But just when we need something, they step up, and when I say, "Hey, I've got a good idea," they usually laugh for a while, and then they say, "Yeah, let's see how."
Oh,
we
she's
can make
serious.
that work."
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right. Exactly. So, yeah.
Have you ever been turned down? Didn't you call
Well,
Chia and you were like,
I
hey.
did, but you know,
he said
it
no.
was that was there were extenuating circumstances 2020.
Oh.
So he said no.
It
that's
wasn't
a
the
really
fire?
bad
I think
idea.
you also
had
wanted to
fire.
do something and it was not safe.
Oh,
He didn't.
That's the big thing
yeah,
that
we
gets
were
you
gonna hook something onto the building, and he was afraid.
That's right.
He said it wasn't safe.
He said that was not safe.
What were you gonna
to
hook
do
up?
that.
I mean, let's keep this going.
You know, they have those barrel things that they put on a line, and then you fire the fire hoses at it, and you try.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a tug of war
Yeah.
with the water, and we were gonna have to attach it, and he thought maybe we should not do that, but it was gonna be awesome. It was gonna be epic.
Party
Still working on
pooper.
that.
Chia.
You know, he was probably right. When it comes to
No.
safety, I probably will
know.
defer to him because sometimes my ideas are maybe not the greatest.
He did let you have fire.
Yes.
What?
They did
When I
s'mores.
did s'mores. I did s'mores a couple summers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but he had to
She
supervise.
blocked that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indoors or
Yeah.
indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
Just making sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But no,
They had to come
Fair question.
They were there.
They were there.
every time.
No, I may not have run it past him the first year that I did it, and then
After that, we
I
were supervised.
Did have to maybe
Ask for forgiveness.
for forgiveness, and also somebody to come help. So yeah, we had some firefighters there. It was like they're at the ready because little kids running around, open fire. It's probably
This will be a great idea.
it seemed like a good idea at the
At the
time.
time.
There were Metlos, there was chocolate.
I feel like that's a lot of how programs happen with us, specifically us at the library. And most of the time, it turns out to be a good idea,
That's true.
which I think is just like luck that we've gotten.
No, we're just that good.
Case in
Make-
point, Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl. It was these two people with great ideas.
We
And
always
then
have,
we
we have lots of great ideas.
Alison and Janis are really great brainstormers, and so they'll sometimes just spit out an idea. And I'm bad at brainstorming, but I hear them, and I hear an idea, and then I take it, and then I start running.
JC's a doer.
She is a
So
doer.
it's a dangerous combination because it used to be just me and Janis. And then we would look at each other and be like, I don't want to do
I
that.
don't know how to do that.
I don't have time for that. And, da, 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 da. And we say something and JC happens to be there and she's like, this is what we're doing now. And we're like, oh,
All right. then.
okay.
Yeah.
It's
it works
great.
Pretty well.
That happened with the Super Bowl, which I will say 2 years running. We'll do it again
Yeah.
for sure, and it's been great. So it works out.
Yeah.
It works out.
Yeah.
You should probably explain the Super Bowl. People think you're talking about football.
I mean,
Well, no, just kidding.
Nah, we're not.
I forgot that this wasn't like in text. So it's soup as in SOUP-ER bowl, like soup that you eat. And
Oh,
you know what?
Oh, that
you were
kind
the
of
one
soup,
that
okay.
spelled it for the first time. But that's like a community partnership event we do annually in January, where on Fridays usually in like the afternoon we'll have free soup, so anyone can come in. It's a bit of a competition too. So we have community groups kind of donate it. We have city departments do it as well. We pony up some soups and try to win, and it's just really fun. So
And delicious.
and delicious.
yeah, we get a free lunch out of it. I mean,
Yeah.
really. So it's great for us.
Yeah.
And we get to feed the community, which is cool. And then the leftovers, if we have any, go into our fridge.
The community fridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Helping Hand. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, they usually fill it, but we
Yeah.
pitch in a bit, especially during January with that.
And they go like hotcakes
Oh, yes.
or hot soup.
Yeah, I got
During the
soup, yeah,
winter.
yeah.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, okay.
So switching gears, just
Why? Why do we need to?
just the evolution of the library and thinking about, we've talked to like a couple different areas where people engage with their library differently. The library for I don't know how long ago the brand refresh would have been, or just kind of that whole process. But you talk about how the library has had more of an identity on social media and pushing stuff out in the digital world. How vital is that through all the operations that the library is conducting?
Well, I think we have great personalities, so I like to showcase that. I think if people just met us, they would want to be friends with us. So really, it is just about breaking down that stereotype of the librarian that people have in their heads and say, no, we're pretty laid back over here. Janice likes to be the loudest one in the room. Like, we're a no shushing zone. So like we try to get that across in our marketing, and like with fun colors, we try to be funny on social media. So great music that I pick out, by the way.
You're doing a great job.
I know.
Well, and TikTok. So I know when I've done my deep dive on city and library social media accounts, Indianola Public Library TikTok has a great following, and you had one video that
went viral.
I
don't know if it like officially viral, but I like to say that we went viral. Yeah, and it just it was a trend. It wasn't even, I'm not going to take credit for it. I stole it from another library because it was like highlighting the different cool services that you have that other libraries may not have, to like quote unquote start beef with them, just to kind of like help give the libraries the excuse to like showcase their cool stuff and be funny about it, like tongue in cheek. So that was a fun morning, and Jacy actually was the one with the ideas. And she was like, I'm gonna get in this tiny child cart, grocery cart.
I was gonna say, I think someone else told me to get in the cart, because that
Oh,
one
no.
I did not come up with. I came up with throwing
She
seed
fit great,
packets on
though.
the ground,
You
but
did
not
throw seed packets.
That's true.
Yeah. And we had our super cool shades on, and
Oh yes.
I don't know. Yeah, it was really fun. It was just I can't explain like why people really liked that, but yeah, it was cool.
So when you do the library's social media, is each platform the library on? Is it so specific where you're putting out content so it meets more of the adults or more of the youth, or does it go to that kind of detail within your strategy?
I mean, I would like to get there at some point, but right now I'm just trying to, keep us in people's feeds, just keep the eyes on us, because like Michele was saying earlier, like people didn't really know what we do. So yeah, my job right now is to keep the eyes on us. So I try to switch it up. We do a lot of like post-program like videos, like this is what happened, like a montage of cute little faces and some cute older faces. Jacy.
the bingo.
The bingo. And we're gonna start doing more like book recommendation type stuff, which is really popular on Book Talk, and yeah.
Yeah, she made me record one this morning. It was
adorable.
Awkward.
It was awkward?
It was awkward.
What made it awkward?
She was adorable.
Me.
Yeah.
But people love that about you. Like
You're
you're
great.
adorably awkward in like the most adorable way. What?
Okay, I'll go.
It's like an adorable awkwardness. It's not like a weird awkward, like everybody knows that.
That's me.
It's Michele.
Weird.
I think we're all weird for
Adorable.
various
No,
reasons.
Janice can get weird.
It's true. It's true.
That's why, little kids are the ones who understand it. They're
Also
like, hey.
true. I'm basically a toddler. So
Basically.
Well, and with how people stay engaged with the library, I believe it was sometime last fall or maybe even in the winter, didn't the library send out a survey to all of its members to just intake how they receive their information from the library or what type of programming they'd like to see in the future? Just talk a little bit about that process. And obviously, again, we're midway through 2024, but how beneficial that community survey was to kind of be that launching pad for kind of everything we're doing today, and again, what's on the horizon. And a lot of it might be very similar we talked about at the top of the podcast, but I want to make sure we noted that too, that it's always intentional when you're reaching out to the community to, even though it sometimes could be off the cuff, you are still involving them to help guide those decisions and those type of opportunities as well.
Right. We don't do what we want to do. We're here to do what the community wants us to do. And so every October we send out a survey, and it's kind of a dual purpose. It's a how are we doing? Get some feedback on maybe things we need to improve on services, and then also what do people want to see. And we read those surveys very carefully. We read all of the comments, and we take them to heart and think about them and try to make accommodations.
Yeah, and I bring that up too because we were just talking about social media, but just, we put a lot of investment, time, and energy, Alison and I especially, for that City of Indianola magazine that gets published quarterly. And so for listeners, that next issue of the magazine will be in your mailboxes this last week of June, if not early July. So flip through that and you're going to see about a dozen pages specific to the library of all the summer programming and activities that you and your family can be involved in. But the library in particular, from the library, if I'm not mistaken, in the magazine, that was one of the more popular resources that card holders would be engaged to know what's
Right.
happening at the library.
They listed that we do the where do you get your information, where do you hear about things from the library, and the magazine was number one, followed closely by Facebook and the website and our app. So those are the top places that people do find out about it.
Did that print piece surprise you at all, knowing like that was a top choice?
Every time. It surprises me every
The
time. I'm like,
magazine?
yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
Facebook. And it's usually like, we also get feedback when people register for things through like the event calendar. And it's pretty even, which is annoying, which means I have to keep doing all the places. But I mean, no, it's great. Like it's the magazine, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's the newsletter, the email newsletter, it's word of mouth. Like it's, yeah. So.
Well, and I'm always surprised how many people still go to the website. Mm-hmm. I mean, the app we have a mobile app, and that is rising in its use and is overtaking the website. But a lot of people use the city's website more than you'd think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and oftentimes too, it's the official home of everything city and everything library, and it's just that digital identity of everything that we are. So, but I would agree too to some aspect that the magazine, when I've learned of those results, that being the top choice, I was like, wow, because as we're going through specifically with that publication, it's an essential piece of catalog for our community as time goes on. And there's talks about digitizing it, but there will always be a print piece because it's an historical context of our city at the time, and B, it showcases everything we are and what we have to offer, both community members, residents, visitors, you name it. So yeah, but I was surprised myself to hear that that magazine was the top choice for how people are engaged specifically with the library.
We hear people say they tear out the pages that they want and they put it on the refrigerator. And so, yeah. And we can tell with registration. Back in the day when you had to call to register, you could tell when the magazine was hitting the doorsteps because that's when the calls would come in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that now. I mean, event registrations are on the calendar website. You got to get in the first couple days, otherwise. But
Fill up, yeah.
Some of them, yeah. And also, I do get a lot of questions. Like, I feel like, I don't know what it is if my events are a little bit less regular, so they can vary a lot. And so people call, like, I know when the magazine's out, when I start getting calls transferred to me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that event is like a Master Gardener, and this is what you can expect. So, yeah, the magazine is really popular for my demographic. And I will also shout out Alison, who has been, first of all, she designs those pages and deals with our last minute detail editing. And second of all,
just, hey, I forgot this whole page of events.
Oops.
it's only ever like one at a time.
Janice.
It's not you, Jacy.
I'm trying to call. Oh, it's Janice. Oh, it's Janice. Oh,
it's
I was
fully
gonna
me.
say I'm complimenting you.
Did that happen just recently for this last issue?
I complain out of
Jan.
Not
Yeah,
just
Jan.
one time though. It's
okay, but it's like we work in such close quarters.
Yeah.
I know that there are other things that she forgot, so I have left space, and I'm just kind of like waiting.
Like, hello,
and she's like, "Oh yeah."
Oh, I forgot about chess club.
But to really point out too, if you look at those, we have more pages, and so we can shout out more things. So we do have our collections coming out in there. Our library of things has been featured in at least the last, if not the last couple of magazine pages. So that showcases all of the stuff where if you would only use it once a year, like a tool or a big yard game, you don't have to buy it. You can just borrow it for that once a year use. So there's that. There's our digital offerings with all the things. I mean, there's so much, and she's fit all of that into our magazine pages in such a really cute looking way, I think.
Thanks.
So that's been really cool. And the magazine's really important, so it's good to use it.
Recently the city of Indianola and Warren County participated in a land exchange where some parcels of property, which do involve the Indianola Public Library, would be going to the county, and some county parcels, specifically where the Field Depot and that 5 acres or so of land along North 6th Street are going to come through the city. And within those announcements that we pushed out together jointly between the city and the county, announced the exciting news of a planned redevelopment of a cultural, entertainment, and recreational district in which the Indianola Public Library will anchor. How exciting is that? I mean, we're now, give or take about a month after that, first news came out, and we pushed out these announcements, but just how exciting is that, and knowing that this kind of change is on the horizon for the library in this community in the next couple of years?
This is great news for the community. We have for 20 years been trying to figure out how to shoehorn what the community needs for the library in the existing space, and we just can't make it happen. This is going to allow us to engage the community, get input, and then start fresh with what the community really needs in their library and what they really want in their library. And we could not be more excited.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for us to do more for more people in that area. So pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
We're pretty sure that we're going to be involved in the design process. So I don't know how many slides.
Oh, so many slides. All the slides. There may be a ball pit.
And we're not quite sure
office.
if there will be any for children,
Yeah,
but
well.
definitely for me and Janice.
I mean, to that point though, I think about all the different possibilities just by having that land and being right off the trail.
Yeah.
I mean, how awesome to really rejuvenate and breathe new life into that property, which really is in the center of our community. I mean, it's so awesome just thinking about those possibilities.
Yeah, there's a lot more young families, which we have seen uses the library quite a bit. It's super close to a school. Like you said, the trails would be really easy to get to the library.
There's a really nice park there. Yeah. We can imagine families riding their bikes, going to the library, going to the park.
Storytime in the park.
Storytime in the park.
Yeah.
Activities on the lawn. We'll have a lawn and that is more usable and
That people could use, potentially to rent out the space, for free. And it's possibilities are endless, and it's really exciting. And yeah, everybody's going to get the opportunity to tell us what they want, and then, hopefully we can do as much as possible.
Oh yeah. Chase, you're gonna say something?
I was just going to point out that one of the things, we're really excited for all of the new things we can do with our space, but one thing I'm excited for, and I know this is, I'm dipping into stereotypical librarian territory, but some
Well,
quiet...
you are.
I know. Sometimes. Which
With
is
your
weird.
morning tea and
My tea and my cardigans.
And our cats.
And my cat. Oh, my cat.
Glasses.
Anyway, but it's going to be really nice to have that space because we know how frustrating it can be for community members, and we hear that in our survey, just that they can't exist in the same space when something else is happening. So if it's a Wednesday, if you're to go over to the library right now, actually, you could not sit and read in peace, essentially. And
you couldn't work.
You couldn't work.
It'd be
We get pretty
hard
loud
for
and pretty
families.
busy.
There are teens right now that are all over the library.
The biggest complaint that I hear about the library is that it's just too loud. And we saw that on the survey too. They're part of our people. They really need a quiet place to work, and library's not quiet. So Presumably with the new library, we could have zones where there could be quiet spaces and places for kids.
Yeah.
And for those naysayers who are listening, they might think, well, what are you doing now to mitigate that noise? What are you doing? And you could say it's not working right now because this keeps happening. We keep getting the same frustrations from our members.
Right. We would fix it if we could. The current design, I mean, it's a great design of a library, but it's one big open room. And so it doesn't really work in terms of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just, because so many people come to a program, it naturally spills out of the program room. So, and which is, I mean, kind of, it's great in a way, because then we've gotten these people to the building, and now they're using the library, they're connecting to each other, they're checking out books, they're looking at we have a video game collection, all the DVDs, we have the tons of puzzles and board games. They get out the board games and they're playing. It's and it's free. They don't have to pay anything. They can stay as long as they want. Like, we're not kicking anybody out. It's great. So, I mean, there's, it's good. It's obviously, not perfect, but I mean, that's why we're so excited.
For listeners to learn more about the land exchange agreement and the next steps with this plan redevelopment there on the North 6th Street sub-area plan, you can visit the City of Indianola website at www.indianolaiowa.gov. Now, to kind of wrap things up, I just kind of want to open up the floor to all of you to share any final thoughts that you feel is important, that you want to get off your chest and make sure the community knows to learn more about the library, how they can stay engaged, and just any other future opportunities that are, again, upcoming that you'd like to promote. And just really want to give you got the mic, so let her rip.
What do you got, baby?
Nothing.
Oh.
You had all this time to think about it.
I told you it was not enough time.
I have stuff.
Oh, she has stuff.
I'll stop you
JC
guys.
talks a lot.
I do talk a lot.
does.
I do talk a lot. And the funny thing is, I do want to say, like, a cool thing that I've found is that patrons that do come to my adult programs make friends there. And so that's what we mean when we talk about a community space and a gathering place. There are people who come in to, like, my puzzle competition, which is a team-based event, and they come in by themselves. And I have made at least one person make friends with another group of my regulars because they've just been coming and attending. And it's so fun to see. My demographic is such a varied range, and they're all coming in and mingling with each other. And, like, we have that person is young and the group is a bit older, and it's just so fun.
And it's hard to make a friend as an adult.
It is.
It is.
And the library is a perfect place because it's like, well, we're both here. We both have this shared hobby or interest or something. And Janice has experienced this too. It happens at all ages. The moms at Storytime.
Oh, yeah.
There are some really cute stories. Like, now they're best friends and they met at Storytime. Isn't that adorable? Like, love that for our community, right? Like, they're, like, new to the area or something, or, they have a nanny and she's like, I need to find other nannies, and like, we can take our kids to the park together, whatever. And the teens are the same way too. We have some very brave, because I never would have done this, but very brave teens who will come to the library or a program by themselves, and then they make friends during the program. And I mean, that's really hard for a teen to do. That's really hard. So, JC was right. Like, this is what we mean by a community meeting space. We're trying to build up the community. That's what the library is all about. And I think we're doing okay.
You're doing better than okay.
Yeah, we're all really excited about everything that's happening, and we're just anybody who's listening who's never been to the library, please come. We're really nice. We'd love to have you. We're not judgy at all. We're not those that is not what we do at our library. We love We love seeing new people coming in and, I've never been here before. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, I have to tell you everything. Like, welcome to the space. Like, if you need anything, you can call us, you can email us, you can message us on Facebook or Instagram. We're here for the community, for the people. So,
Yeah. What she said.
Ditto.
mic drop.
That was a pretty good mic drop.
That's pretty good.
Just don't drop that mic. That is.
No.
Yeah.
I'm holding on firmly.
Very nice.
I do want to thank all of you for taking the time, coming here today, and for what you are doing for the community collectively at the library, all of your colleagues, my colleagues, the Friends of the Library, the Board of Trustees. It is a special place with a lot of phenomenal people, and I'm grateful to be part of the team, even though we're all part of that collective mission of the city of Indianola. But it's so great to be able to be on this journey with all of you, and just want to thank you for everything you do day in and day out, and weekdays, weekends, nights, the whole works. It's phenomenal to even watch and help share that story for our community. So just from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all that you do.
Aw, thanks, Erin.
Thanks, Erin.
And I do want to shout out our part-time desk staff. They are also amazing. I will say one of the biggest compliments we got on our last survey was just how friendly our desk staff are. They are amazing. They don't let us up front to help much because we don't do it often enough to be good at it. But we
They're
still
not very
do.
good at it.
We still try. We still
No,
try.
we're not.
But our part-time staff are amazing and are who are actually the face of the library every day. So thank you to them.
Those are the people that patrons actually know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have our niche groups.
Yeah.
But
No, thanks for sharing that, especially that much deserved shout out.
yeah,
Well,
they're pretty awesome.
make sure for those listeners, like I said, this is probably going to be my favorite episode, period. It's going to be yours too. So after you listen to this episode, make sure you leave a comment, leave a review. Again, this is episode 5, season 1. So we're now nearing that middle stage of getting away from that newbie podcast game territory. So we're becoming professionals now. We
Yeah.
are becoming professionals.
Next time you have us on, we got to do like callers.
We can have that capability. We can do that. Yeah.
Zoinks.
Yeah. I'm looking at them and they are looking at me and they're not happy. But
I'm not
we're
even
doing
looking
it,
at you.
guys. You're not even looking. Aaron's like, no.
We can do that. We can do that. We have the capabilities as long as we plug
See all
into the
ideas?
adapter.
Ideas.
As long as we plug into the adapter,
Okay.
we can do anything.
Okay, well that'll be on you.
it is on me for the fail today and future fails and successes, we'll call it. But
Well, thanks for having us. We really enjoy
you.
this opportunity.
yeah, no, appreciate it. So yeah, listeners, make sure you leave that comment, stay engaged, share the episode and the podcast on your social media so we can continue to grow this brand and this form of communication. And who knows, maybe next time you'll be a future guest of Indy Unplugged. Thanks.